Good afternoon, dear students. Today we are going to learn about the next topic in Python that is called uh, classes and objects. Okay, so classes and objects and like that. Okay, some of the OOPS based concepts we are going to learn through Python. Okay, so first we are going to discuss about what is class and how to create a class in Python. So here some of the theory concept, small definitions are there. What is class? Why we go for object-oriented programming concepts? Some of the reusability and some of the data hiding and other techniques are there. But basic foundations in classes that alone we are going to learn now. Okay. So I'm going to start explaining about class. So class is an object constructor, or we can say it is a blueprint for creating an object. When there is an object, it is having properties and methods, right? So this is how object-oriented programming languages. So with the help of the class, which gives the structure for a program, and then you can go for creating objects, and then you can define some of the methods and properties in a class. With the help of it, you can start using or utilizing. So mainly it helps you for creating projects and work on projects. Okay, so class-based concepts will be useful. So how to create a class? So it is with small letters, right? Okay, so it is not supposed to be in caps. So the keyword is supposed to be the predefined word is class. Okay, and then it is followed by the definition class name. Suppose, okay, so any class name, it is similar to the variable how you will create, okay, the same way, variable naming part, here class name is also supposed to be. And always define the class name with uppercase, okay. And the next part, always when we want to define a class, it is supposed to be followed by the opening closing brackets in phrases in C or C programming. This sorry, in C++, right? So the same way here in Python, the wherever the definition starts, we have to give a colon. So here also there is a colon. And how to create a variable inside this particular class, that is like, okay, for example, a variable. Any difficulties? No. Any difficulties? Shall I get an answer, yes or no? Can you able to see my screen and my voice is audible? Am I right? Is there everything fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So you have to create a class, and how to declare a variable inside the classes by this way. You have to directly go for creating n number of variables by this way. And so the basic structure or the syntax of the class alone I am explaining now. It is followed by class name and a colon. Then you can define n number of variable, not only one, right? Any number of variables of different data type, you can just create like this, right? Any number of variables you can store. Now you have the next step is you have to create an object for this class to access these variables. So how to create an object for this class? Just an object name, it is also similar to the variable name, is equal to of a class name of, okay, the same, it is case sensitive here, like it is, okay, like this way. Object name is equal, so this is about create a class, creating class, okay, so creating class by this way. And this is about, this part is about declaring and defining variables, right? And the next part, this part is like object creation. Okay, this part is for object creation. So at the end of the class, you start creating the object with the help of object name is equal to class name of. Okay. Now, if you want to print, okay, you want to print all these values, okay, what you have to do, you can go for directly a print method. So print function will be useful, but if you want to access this variable with the help of this object only, you can able to access. Otherwise, you cannot access it directly. Okay. So what you have to do, if you want to get the value of x, you have to go for s1.x. with the object name dot variable name. Okay, so this is like, okay, you are accessing the instance variable. Instance variable means, okay, with the help of an object, if you are accessing a variable, that is called instance variable. Okay, so you are getting the value of the variable now. So you are just getting only one value of a variable. Okay, when you execute and check whether it is right or wrong. Connection. Okay, so now you are getting the value 10. And suppose if you want to print one more value s1 dot a, when you print, we will get the second value, right? And comma the same print method s1 dot b, when you print, you will get another one value, right? So this is how all the variables declared and defined inside the class can be accessible. So the first program is create a class. Okay, define values, define variables with values, create object, and print all variables values. So this is the first program we have done, right? So how to start a class? Class followed by class name colon. Very simple, right? And then you have to go for declaring one by one variable. And if you want, okay, or you can't see means, okay, I can just share this one and you can able to see that. I'll just put this link here and you can able to see the programs now. Okay, so this is about first program, how we have done. Okay, you have learned something from this, right? The second program, or the different modifications we are going to add with the, maybe with the same program or with some different programs also we are going to see. Okay, so the first program is like this, right? Okay, so we have created some of the variables and we have just printed it. Okay, the second program is we just really going to find out the sum of this program. The same program I'm going to modify just to find out its sum. Okay, so I'm just going to put it in the second code. Okay, so the first part, okay, the class is created. Okay, three variables and values are there, and three variables and values are there. All these are with the static variables and values. Now if you want to add, okay, what you will do, okay, a variable with a new variable you have to create, and now the details are added and it is available with C. So at last you want to print, okay, what is the value of sum alone? If you want to print sum is equal to comma C, right? So C will print instead of C, okay, there you have to go for accessing the variable with um, object. So s1 dot C, when you give, okay, you can able to find out the sum of all these values. So the next program is, second program is find sum of three numbers. Yeah, that is a second program. I hope you understood, right? So how to find out the sum. So now you know how to create a variables and how, okay, in case some variable values, if you want to get it from the user, input of enter a number, right? So this is how we can give the input box, and only for this number or maybe dynamic, when you click enter number is equal to x plus, okay, you have to convert it into integer, right? Int of, we do addition. So you're getting an addition, integer addition. Now others I have given value 10. So the same thing you can receive through dynamic input also. But it is an addition operation, so it is asking for doing a conversion. Okay, that's why I have given here an integer conversion. Okay, can you all do one program? Can you all do this program? Sum of three numbers. Okay, the third program you're going to do multiplication of three numbers. Please do the program and post the program on the screen. multiplication of three numbers. All three numbers are supposed to be dynamic one. Okay, that means all three numbers must be read from you must read from the or through the text box. Okay, from the runtime text box. So similar to the same sum program, okay, similar to this program, you are just going to perform multiplication of this three number and you are just going to print it. Okay, please do the program on your own and post the code. Post the if you got the correct output, okay, you please post the code in the chat. First program, all these are for assignments, class assignment, today's class assignment. Please do the program along with me. How to find the sum. Okay, if you want the sample program, I'll put it in the chat. You just modify it and I'll find out the multiplication and post the code again in the multiplication program. Okay, program for multiplication. Okay, please post the code. Anyone come here? Anyone of you completed? Make it fast. Shall I move to the second program, next program? What you're all doing, make it fast, quick. It's very simple program only. Already I have posted the code also. Only thing is instead of plus, you have to change it into the multiplication symbol. I'm not asking you to generate a multiplication table. Just multiply three inputs and display the output. Please post the program. Or shall I move to the next program? Students, I'll point out somebody. Asher, please. Sneha posted. Asher, you also post the same program. No problem. Also, Asher, please do the program of multiplication. Sneha, it's very good. Asher, please do the program with the help of classes, objects, concept. Okay, implement multiplication and post the program. Or Asher, you do modification in the program, like first program divider and okay, so just do division operation. Okay, so just consider first number, second number, and do the division, and just read two inputs and perform a division and project the output, project the code in the chat screen. Okay. Okay, Asha, this is the task assigned to you. So we will go for the next program. So in this program, only thing is we have read it from the user, and another thing is a default value this program used, right? And the next program is not like this. We just want to go for pass by value. Okay, we are just going to assign some of the values which are required for this program through pass by value. Okay, so or how to pass arguments to this function. Okay, how to pass arguments through some functions that alone we are going to learn. And that function is not going to be the user defined function. It is called through a predefined function. Okay, see here there is a predefined function in Python for every class that is called double time underscore. Okay, so there are double time and the function name is predefined one. Double time underscore followed by init is the function name, and again two times underscore, and then you have to define the function. Okay, so this function will take always the first argument is supposed to be the keyword called self. What does self means? Okay, the first argument is supposed to be self. Self means it points out the current object. So here comes the class name is person, the object name is P1. So here comes, okay, it is P1. Okay, it means self means P1. It points out the current object. So when this person class, when you create an object, it searches for a function in this inside this person class. Is there any init function? If it is there, then it points out and come to this part of definition. So here in this program, you no need to call. When this object is created, automatically this function will be called. Okay, so that is the use of init function. So we'll do one program using init. Okay, so we are just going to create a class. Okay, so we are just going to do some okay, so some calculations like that. Okay, when you consider calculation. Okay. So I'm just in a short form I have given. Okay, class, if you have given capital, then it is not going to be considered as a key predefined word, right? So class calculation, and here comes, we are going to define the function 2 times minus underscore, okay, 2 times underscore, the function name is init, and again 2 times underscore in bracket, the first argument is supposed to be self, and two arguments we are going to pass, okay, a comma b, like that, two arguments we are going to pass. And this is also a function, so definition of the function, you have to pass it with a colon, okay, so you have to pass this function with a colon. So in the object, how to create an object for this class, okay, suppose I'm creating an object as c1, the class name is calc, okay, and this function, okay, so this class needs two values, that is 20 comma, okay, for example I'm giving 20 comma 10, so 20 will be assigned to a and 10 will be assigned to b, right? So when this is given, this is going to be assigned to this variable. Now inside the program, how can I access this a, how can I access this b is, okay, you cannot use it directly, you can access with the help of this object, okay, self. So you have to access with the self.a and the self.b, then only you can able to refer this variable a and b. But these two variables are going to be initialized. Okay, now it is going to be a the class variable, and okay, directly it is going to get the value of a and b. So this a and b can directly give. When it is assigned to the class variable, you can assign at that assignment part, you have to refer it by its okay, the keyword self, so self dot, that is the way you can able to access it. Now a and b values will be assigned to this, and suppose if you want to print, okay, you have to print it as self dot a comma self dot b. You cannot have access anywhere inside the class, okay, when you want to access it, okay, you can access it only by its keyword, with the keyword self.a and self.b, okay. Now when you run the program, you can see, okay, 20 and 10 we never printed here, right? Inside this function we have printed it inside this function. So you can able to see here, it is not called separately init of, like that we didn't call, we have called, we have passed the argument through the class, like a constructor, like a constructor will have the same class name, right? In our Java programming language, you have learned constructor name will be the same class name, but here the constructor is a built-in, can be called with the help of a built-in function. The constructor name is not the same class name. The constructor name here is like init. Okay, it takes any number of arguments. Suppose if you want to pass only one argument here and want to use it, okay, so you want to just doing an addition, self.a with self.a, and what is the result? If you want to only one argument also, if you want to pass, you can do it. Okay, any number of arguments you can pass. Suppose okay, the another one is going to be, okay, the b is going to be, okay, self.b is equal to b, and the b is going to be a string if you want to pass, okay, this represents the name of the person and their age, like that, okay. So first you want to print the self dot b comma self dot a and a. So like that. If you want to print, okay, the Kavita age is 40 is printed, right? So this is how for this constructor. So when you create an object for the class, at that time you have to pass the argument. So which function will receive here is the init function. So the init function syntax is the first part is self keyword, then it is followed by the list of values. How many values? Two values means two variables are supposed to be here, right? But inside the program, if you want referent assigned to the class variable, then you have to refer it by self.a and self.b, right? So like that, you can access it. But directly, you can assign to the right hand side. Okay, you have to keep the variable name the same thing. Okay. So this is how you can go for like through a constructor, you can pass arguments or values to a function. Okay, any type of values you can pass. That is the use of init function. So init function, it's an inbuilt function. Okay, that means it's a built-in function. When a class, when this function will be called, when you create an object for the class, this will be called. Okay, and this function is useful for assigning values to object properties as well as to any or other operations also you can perform with this. Okay, so that's the use of init. Have you all understood about init? Inits? Shall I get an answer? First number is not here. Asher, Asher, I have given a task to you, but you didn't complete. Don't expect attendance from me. In case if you're not able to understand, please respond in the chat that, ma'am, I'm not understand. Darshan, are you here? Darshan, are you here, Darshan?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Have you understood the init function?
Yes, ma'am. It calls when class name is called a
Yes.
function.
Yeah, right. But inside the same class, okay, can we have for this class? Can we have one more? Okay, suppose the assignment part of all these are here. Can we define and one more user-defined function? Suppose I'm just going to print something, no? So the printing part of print is a built-in function name. Okay, so you can see here built-in function name, so you should be careful. Or you can make it as print p, double p. Okay, and this function, okay, so inside this function we want to print, inside this function we want to keep this print functions, print of these values, right? If you want to print these values inside this function, here you have to pass the argument at least self. Okay, it means one particular argument, that is self object you have to pass, then only you can able to access it. Okay, but you have to invoke the function. Okay, like these values are passed, but you have to call this function. Okay, if you run directly, nothing will be printed, no errors, nothing will be printed, because this function is not called. Only this function alone is called by means of this object creation part. So explicitly you have to create this call this function with the help of this object. Okay, print off, double T. But with empty, okay, there is nothing to pass. You no need to pass anything. Okay, just execute the program. Okay, this will be called. So any user-defined function want to use this values which are initialized by the init function must take one argument, that is self. And those functions are supposed to be called explicitly, right? Because this definition calls only this function. This function will not be called, so you have to call this function. Okay, so far what are the programs we have done? Multiplication of this number, okay, and division of two numbers. That program also please do it. And the fifth one is init program, init function, right? Init function, using init function, what we have done is two variables or two variables initialization values, values initial is supposed to be initialized at the, okay, two variable values are supposed to be initialized and displayed on the screen. That means the previous method. Okay, I didn't create it as a separate one. Yeah, okay. So the previous part is like only this much. uh, here itself print. Here itself print and no explicit printing. Okay, so this is the program for this question. See here, init function, two variables are there. The values are initialized by the object creation part, and directly you have printed, right? Directly you have printed. Okay. The fifth, okay, this is for fifth program. The sixth program is init function is supposed to be there. Two variable values are supposed to be initialized and initialized and print the values through another print function. Okay. So the sixth program is this one. How you can include an user-defined function. Okay, so you can see here initialized two variables. The values are initialized and the values are printed through another user-defined function, that is printf. So this is how you can create a class. You can so the first program is about like, okay, so you all remembered about the first program. The first program, what we have done, we have just created a class, initialized variable, just created an object, how we can invoke these variables and values, right? The second program, what we have done is just we have made it into little dynamic part and done the summation and we have printed. The next part, how to initialize the values at the time of creating an object, right? So that part we have learned. And how we can pass the initialized value to another function which want to use or do some modification or do some manipulation with it, how we can do that one we have learned now. Okay, so these are the combination of classes, objects, and passing value to an class, passing value to some other functions, okay, through an constructor. So these are the combinations of classes and objects and variables we have discussed. Okay, then the next. Okay, one more modification with this function we'll learn. Okay, one more modification. I'll make it into a new code. Okay. Instead of the self keyword, can we go for any other thing? Okay, for example, I can go for just an XX or something. You can anything you can give. Okay, but okay. So how we can access these variables? Then you have to access with triple X, X, and we'll check. So you can understand now, instead of the keyword self, you can give anything here. Okay, but it is supposed to be used for accessing the class variable. Can we change here also? Instead of self, can we go for some other thing? Okay, just a variable, new variable I have given as ff. And here also ff. Yes, okay. So instead of self, you can go for any other variables also. Okay, self is instead of self, you can go for any other variable. But at least the first argument is supposed to be the some unknown, okay, variable is supposed to be given which maps to the object name. So self always, okay, by default, okay, in the syntax people used to use the word, okay, self, which refers the current object, the same object of the class. Otherwise, you can go for anything. Okay, here also anything and here also anything. Can we use the same thing here? Like, yeah, same thing here because we used the self, no, same way. Here also you can use that one. But it is case sensitive, how it is defined the same way, you have to use it. Okay, this is another way of, okay, same thing. Okay, same thing or different thing, but the first argument is supposed to be one variable you have to pass, and here also it is an object. Okay, self object. Then the next. So the next program is for instead of self, use another use any variables. You should practice this kind of program. Okay. Next. Hmm, wait, I have combined so many things. Okay. Suppose if you want to modify, okay, so here in this program, the value for first variable no is 20. Now you want to modify the value of a. What you can do is, okay, how you can modify the value of a. C1 dot a is equal to, I'm just assigning, okay, that's going to be 1000. Okay, and before you print and after you print, what will happen now? You will see. And I'm just printing here, print of C1 dot a. Okay. So we'll run the we can run the program. You can modify the value of a by means of access with the help of this class object. That is also possible. So because in the first time it takes this value 20 and this execution is completed over, okay, because you have called the print and that's why you're getting 40. Okay. The second time, if you want to modify the value of a, any class variable, once it is assigned, if you want to override it, okay, if you want to override it, you can access the class variable with the help of outside the class, right? This definition is actually outside the class, right? So you can access this with the help of object name dot variable name, and you can reassign some values, so that value will be taken. And suppose if you want to assign C1 dot b with some other value, okay, with the other value, and you want to print first C1 dot b comma C1 dot a, okay, it takes these two value and it just generates the second set of data. So this is how you can override. Already A and B are there. It is with some B value, and after execution, if you want to modify, you can modify in this way. Okay, you can modify in this way. And here also, if you want to modify, um, I'm just giving f dot ds Kiran. In this way also you can modify. It is coming from here, this value b, but instead of b, you are assigning some other value to this variable. That is also possible. This is how you can do a lot of overriding way of. Okay, so you can override the value of a class variable. Okay, so next program is override the class variables value. Okay, by means of that is inside the program, or that is inside the function or outside the class. These are possible. Okay, I hope you all understood. The next combination is inheritance. Okay, we'll go for the next set of program is for inheritance. We'll start a fresh program. So in this program, we're going to create two classes. Okay, one first class is going to be like okay, I'll give you some small simple examples. Okay, I'm just defining the class, first class. Okay, so this is going to be the parent class, and another one class I'm going to create second. So the first class is going to have all the definition. The second class not going to have definition, but it is going to inherit the properties or the definitions of the first class. So how we can do it? Okay, always you have to. Okay, so now we are going to create the object for. Okay, the object for the first class. So first class object f1 is equal to first of. This is how you will create an object for the first class. And now there is no inheritance. This is a separate class, this is another class. So in Python, how you can connect or connect these two classes by means of the second class is going to inherit the first class, right? So after this class definition, you have to open a bracket and you have to mention the just like an argument. Okay, just like an argument. In C programming, it will be like C programming. It will be like C plus plus class A. I think scope resolution operator. Then whether it is public or private scope that you have to define, and then you will mention the class B, right? So class A will be there, class B will be there, and what type of scope that is the visibility to the class A. Okay, class A, B is the parent class, A is the child class. This is how the syntax is. And in Java, class A extends class B. Class will be there, or only class name alone will be there. I think class name alone will be there. In Python, class A of B. This is the syntax. Okay, it varies from C++, Java, and Python. Okay, please make a note. And here in Python, it is class name and like an argument, the parent class you have to give. Okay, and you create an object for the parent class. Now, in this program, um, okay, we are just going to use the definition of just passing one value to this program, a base class. So the definition is starts with define, double time init, double time, okay, init, bracket, okay, any one variable, okay, the variable name you have to mention, okay, that is X. And in this program, if you want to assign this class variable to this class, okay, you can assign it by this way. And another one print function is going to be there, okay, print of, and at least it should have one argument self. And with the help of this, okay, you can go for a printing part. Print of self dot x alone you're printing, right? So this is the definition. This is the definition. The same definition, that means the value of x you want to give it to the second class. Okay. So when you have this, okay, exactly, okay, second class definition. Okay, first class definition, object creation part. The object creation part definitely searches for this and it will execute, it prints, right? And print off method, you have to something, colon is missing. Okay, and the print function also you have to call print. Right? Okay. Now execute and check. Print. Okay, here also colon is missing. So now the value is printed. Now the definition you are going to just to pass it to the second function. Okay, so second class. So no definitions are needed, but you will get an error. Okay, so you will get an error. So how to overcome this error? Just at least you have to go for a pass keyword, right? It won't generate any error. Avoiding error, okay? Because actually, when you create object for the second class is initialized with the same content. The same content is copied actually here virtually by the compiler at the time of execution, and you just given a pass now. Okay, so that is why the second function able to inherit. Suppose what was the default code or the code that was copied here by the compiler, okay, that is the same thing. Okay. Same thing, okay. Init of self, and but here one more step you have to do, that is called, you are just inheriting the properties of the superclass, right? Superclass, which means the base class or the superclass or parent class are same, right? Child class or derived class or subclass, which means the child class. Okay, so you all remember about the term parent or base or superclass are the same, child or derived or subclass are the same, right? These are the replaceable or other names for these classes. Now, so this class also must, this is a class, okay, for this class initialization part, you need a function, but this class inherit the properties from the superclass, right? That is why the value of x is initialized here. So here you have to access the superclass variable, you have to go for super of function, super of dot, okay, you have to define this definition belongs to second class. This definition, when you write it, the superclass properties you can able to access and use it inside this class. Okay, that is why its definition starts with super of dot. Okay, super of dot directly init of no self keyword. Okay, directly the variable name alone you have to give. Then you can start using the variables. You can start using the variables, and if you want to have a print function, okay, you can have a print function here, and print function needs a self. Okay, self. Yeah, that's it. Super of here. Any mistakes I may have done? Okay. Here there is no colon actually. It is not a function. Self.x indexation error. Now you got it. Okay. So this is the parent class. This is the child class. The child class want to access the parent class definition, right? So what you have to do, how you can access it by means of super of dot the parent class variable function, that is init of. So that time itself, okay, you will get it. This is just a new function where it is going to print. Suppose if you're passing, okay, if you're passing two values, okay, the first value alone is finding out the first class. The second class, which is going to use one more variable also. Suppose you consider it as y. So x alone it inherited from x alone it inherited from first class, okay, and okay, self, okay, so here x alone it inherited from the base class. The y is inherited, y is the variable belongs to the same child subclass, okay. So when you run it, two values, somewhere anywhere I have mistakes and I have done self dot x and y. Mm, okay, here comes, you have to create an object for the derived class, okay, not the base class, because base derived class only having two arguments, okay, 10 alone is printed. If you don't have a print function here, print triple t, print self dot x and self dot x y, and you didn't assign to self dot y, no, self dot y is equal to y. Yes. Okay. So always in a the base class, okay, inheritance concept, you have to create an object for the child class or the derived class, but which is going to access the base class object, that is the value x, and which is initialized through this method. And so this x is going to be copied from, definition of x is copied from here. Suppose if you assign here 3000. Okay, so initially, okay, so here you pass 10, passed 10, right? 10 you have passed, but this 3000 is not taken. Okay, this 10 alone will be copied here and through this function. Okay, that is not reflected. Only through the derived class definition, when you call the object, the base class is base class variable is also invoked. This definition is executed, and that is why it is receiving this 3000 and this one receiving 2000. And now when you print it from the derived class, you can able to get these value. So this is how the syntax of base class is. You have to create a base class, the derived classes, the derived class name, the argument is base class, but you have to create an object for the derived class, and when you pass the argument and through this definition, okay, so here comes when it comes to the superclass. Actually, the pointer will come and execute from here initially. So where this executes, okay, this is the because when this definition is called, the controller will come to this part and start execution. So when it comes to this line, the call will be passed back to the parent class. That is, it will find out is there any superclass definitions available in the along with the first second derived class name. So it is first. So it will searches for first and it execute and initialize the value, and that is going to be written here. And when you print it or use it, that value will be printed. Okay. So that's all about classes, objects, and okay. So the last program is for okay. Do one program for inheritance. Okay. So these are the programs today we have discussed, and complete it as an assignment. Okay, complete all these as an assignment, and this assignment is mandatory for all of you students. This assignment is mandatory for all of you. Please complete it, and this is going to be considered for your assignment marks. Okay, please do it. It is mandatory. Okay. I hope you understood. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
Ma'am,
If
can you share the
can you share?
attendance link?
Yeah, sure. Others can leave. Okay. Thank you, dear students. Have you all understood this topic? Shall I get an yes or no among the 6 students? Can you press yes or no on the chat and can you leave? Remaining 5 already left, I think so. Okay. Thank you. And yeah, okay. Thank you, dear students, and you may leave. Bye.